is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back this beautiful Thursday morning, 37 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. We are a bit late due to, sometimes the morning routine gets in the way, but nonetheless, it's better late than never. So indulge me while I get on with you for today. Welcome back from last night's action in the Carabao Cup, as well as the Spanish La Liga and everything that did transpire. It's good to see you guys back. Hi Pedri, how are you? Hi LFC, how are you doing? Congratulations on Arsenal win. Thank you so much, Pedri. Indulge me. Why did Barcelona not play in midweek? I kept looking around for that fixture, um, and it seemed not to come, you know. But I can see, I can see it, now suddenly showing up on my feed here. It's they are in action today. Yes. Today against Real Oviedo. Because I thought, because usually when they are midweek fixtures, they tend to come between Tuesday and Wednesday, because those very teams then have to play all over the weekend against different opponents, and to sort of manage the rest period and recovery, you need to play within those days. If you're going to play again on Saturday or Sunday or something like that, because I do not think that Barcelona will play on Thursday and then their next fixture will come on a Monday on a subsequent week that has UEFA Champions League. So yeah, Carabao Cup fourth round draws that we'll be talking about. Arsenal versus Brighton, very, very difficult draw there. As LFC puts it, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, not an easy fixture. The advantage for Liverpool is that they are going to be at home. Manchester City, Swansea. Isn't Manchester City playing away from home? Yes, Man City will be away from home against Swansea. Remember, Swansea knocked out Nottingham Forest. I forgot to see FA Cup next round draw. It's actually the EFL Cup, Carabao Cup, or English Football League Cup, as it's normally called. So it's not the FA Cup. But yeah, and I suspect the Copa del Rey will also be getting underway quite very soon. Then also anyway, what has so far been your highlight of the week? I know it's Thursday. Most of those teams are played. Liverpool played. LFC, what was the highlight for you? Tell us. For me, I think I've had so many beautiful moments in regards to football that I can mention a handful of them. That goal by Vinicius Junior, the Trivela, sweet strike. You cannot go away from that. Then you look at Alexander Isak getting off the mark in a Liverpool shirt. It doesn't get any better than that. But of course, there are good things and bad things. Hugo Ekitike getting that red card. How dumb was that? For a player of his, at that level of professionalism, where you're already booked on a yellow card, and then suddenly you decide you're going to get booked again for taking off a shot for scoring a routine goal. Let's be honest. Apologies. Let's be honest. It was a routine goal. It wasn't some sort of astronomical goal that he did score. It was routine in the sense of if it had been you in his position, if Federico Chiesa had passed you that ball, you'd have equally scored it. And yet he chose to sort of commit a halwa and say, I'll take off my shirt and celebrate. Now, I understand the goal comes a little bit late and it sort of gets Liverpool to win the tie. But I thought, yeah, it was very, very unwise of him to go ahead and do that really on that kind of given day. But yeah, so we will kick things off with the entirety of the EFL Cup fourth round draws as they were drawn. Like LFC put it, Arsenal will be up against Brighton and Hove Albion. Remember, this will be played in the week of October 27th. Around that time, that will be the week after the international break. So when we come back from the October international break, which begins around 6th, 7th until around the 17th, is it? around the 16th thereabout. So then we come back, play weekend, a week of football. Then the subsequent week, we get to possibly the Carabao Cup, round, fourth round, that then takes us to the quarterfinals. After which we will be destined for the quarterfinals. Around that zone, let me see. Actually, no, no, no. After the international break, we'll have a week that we'll have UEFA Champions League football, and then the subsequent week to that is when those draws will come. So Arsenal booked a date against Brighton, Grimsby Town. These ones have knocked out. These ones knocked out Manchester United, as well as Sheffield Wednesday. They will be up against Brentford. Brentford in their last outing they knocked out Aston Villa, beating them by 4 goals to 2 in the post-match penalties. We know Arsenal knocked out Port Vale, Brighton knocked out Barnsley, beating them by 6 goals to 0. Then Swansea, who knocked out Nottingham Forest, will be up against Manchester City. Manchester City knocked out Huddersfield Town, beating them by 2 goals to 0, while Swansea's victory was a 3-2 victory over Nottingham Forest, having come from 2 goals down. And then Newcastle, who knocked out Bradford City, beating them by 4 goals to 1 yesterday, will be up against Tottenham Hotspur, who beat up against Doncaster Rovers by 3 goals to 0 to advance to the next round. Wrexham will be up against Cardiff City, while Liverpool, who knocked out Southampton, will take on Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace knocked out Millwall to get to the stage. And if anything, Oliver Glasner has shown us that he's capable of winning silverware, even with a sort of an average squad of those kinds of players that he does have at Crystal Palace. Of course, a body like Ebelechi Eze was pulled out, but it doesn't make them less an opponent. Then Wolverhampton Wanderers will welcome Chelsea. Hi, Shumail, how are you? How have you been? It's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. And are you done with the papers? I think you mentioned you had some 4 papers coming up or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then Wycombe will be up against Fulham. So that's the round of 16 or the 4th round of the English Football League Cup. Those draws came subsequent to yesterday's results. Like I've told you, Manchester City were in action. They did beat up against Huddersfield Town by 2 goals to 0. Those goals scored by Phil Foden did score one of those, and then the other was scored by Savinho, with Phil Foden providing the assist. Beautiful game of football. Manchester City were overly dominant, although they just didn't score plenty. Eze scored his first goal, yes, and it was in brilliant style. That came in the 8th minute, I think, of the game, with Maslow Skelly providing the assist. I thought Arsenal started with a very, very strong starting 11, which is, in essence, in part, their B team. Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal, hardly troubled during the course of the night. It had William Saliba in centre back alongside Christian Mosquera. Those are the ones that started. Then Ben White at right back, and then at left back was Maslow Skelly. A midfield of Christian Nogard, Christian Nogard, Ethan Wanyeri. Mosquera has been so underrated. I mean, he's been quite the revelation given what we've seen of him so far in this season. I mean, he's put on performance after performance ever since he came on for William Saliba when he got injured in that 1-0 defeat away to Liverpool at Anfield. He was quite a beautiful performance against Nottingham Forest. He was quite the performer, beautiful performance when he went away to Athletic Bilbao in the UEFA Champions League. It was another wonderful performance from him. So yeah, so he did start in that. So midfield had Christian Nogard, it had Ethan Wanyeri and Ebelechi Eze. While up front was Mikel Merino. You had Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. Anyway, whichever the interplay was, I think that was sort of the setup for the Arsenal. The way they set it out to play. And again, Mikel Merino, I thought, had an underwhelming performance. not the best of his performances on the night. And I did mention this, that in the absence of Kai Havertz through injury and Gabriel Jesus, we're going to constantly see Mikel Merino be the sort of more natural substitute to Victor Gyökeres. And yet, my feeling would be that it should be at least Gabriel Martinelli whenever he doesn't get to start a game. And then we got to see Leandro Trossard was the goal scorer for that second goal for Arsenal, which came late in the second half. Again, another impact substitute. He did come off the bench to score brilliant goal. Max Dorman came in for Bukayo Saka around the 63rd minute. Gabriel Magalhaes came on for Ben White. Both players had been coming off injuries. So Mikel Arteta was intent on giving them no more than 70 minutes. And basically that's what it was. Then Victor Gyökeres came on for Mikel Merino, had an opportunity when he got played in by Max Dorman. And I thought he had that ball quite well in his stride. But the defender went in and made a late challenge to put in the block to deny him a goal-scoring opportunity. Then Declan Rice came in for Ebeleche Eze. Gabriel Martinelli paved the way for Leandro Trossard, who scored the second on the night. Beautiful. Arsenal were dominant on the night in all aspects. They started really well, looked very sharp on the ball. They got the goal quick. Did you see everyone was making fun of Garnacho? I mean, for the kind of move that he made, Garnacho, to be honest, and for as long as he doesn't get off the mark in terms of scoring and having good performances, he's sort of going to get a lot of stick, and not just from Manchester United fans who are predominantly spearheading it, but from a couple of other fans. Remember, he had the opportunity to go to Bayern Munich, and he declined that and said he wanted to stay in the Premier League, and ended up at Chelsea, where getting game time is not going to come easy, But yeah, so you should be ready for that. Arsenal has a good midfield even on the bench. Yes, their squad depth this season is one thing that we've talked about quite very often in terms of depth, in terms of quality. It's not just about the numbers. So, for example, when you look at yesterday's game, the fact that they had the opportunity to field Christian Nogat alongside Ethan Wanyeri and Ebeleche Eze, that tells it to you all. And yet, on another day, you're going to see Martin Zubimendi, Declan Rice, and Martin Odegaard whenever he does return from injury. So the squad depth is really good. Really one to appreciate and admire if you're a rival fan. So they have the good options, and not just in the midfield, by the way, even in that backline. So, for example, you look at the entirety of yesterday's backline, bar William Saliba. They had not all played over the weekend. They did not start. Christian Mosquera did come on in that game against Manchester City for the final minute, but also the reason as to why we got to see William Saliba in that game was partly because Pierre Hincap is out injured with a groin injury. So even when Arsenal continue to grapple with so many injuries, Pierre Hincap, Kai Havertz, Noni Madueke, Gabriel Jesus, Martin Odegaard, the captain, you look around, that's all five players who are capable of starting a game for this Arsenal side. But you look with all those absences, and I don't want to say they are unbothered, but you look at them and they still have the quality to go out there and compete against any opponent. And when you look at their next run of fixtures, about the next 11 games or so, it's going to be sort of a mad run. It's going to be against teams that have been beating them before, that they against whom they need to prove themselves. For example, over the weekend they are away to Newcastle, a place where they struggle to win or have struggled to win in recent times. They will be up against Olympiacos. After that, in the UEFA Champions League, we remember a couple of seasons back when Olympiacos was knocking them out of the UEFA Europa League. Was it the UEFA Europa League or the UEFA Champions League? There are but I think at the round of 16. Then after that, they will be up against West Ham. West Ham are one of those very, very poor sides before the international break. So yeah, yesterday they had a very, very dominant performance. They had unfortunately they only had 4 shots on target. Like I said, they started the game sharply, but after they scored that first goal, then they retreated back into their old self, the passive side. Keep popping the ball around, pass it sideways, central, sideways, like that. Basically, that's what it was. And they just passed Portwell into submission and ended up with an 81% ball possession, according to online statistics. Portwell did only one corner kick versus Arsenal 6, had 0 shots on target. That's why I was telling you they never dropped. Kepa Arrizabalaga was never troubled. They had 1 shot of target. That shot went over the bar. Sorry, that 2 shots. Sorry, yes, 1 shot of target. Arsenal had only 2 shots of target. So you can see that while they were dominant in terms of their XG or expected goals, must have really, really, really been down. So yeah, that was the game the way it was. I thought initially I thought Max Dorman would start, but I understand that Mikel Arteta needed to give Bukayo Saka a bit of minutes to warm up a little more. There was a dangerous tackle on his foot that looked a bit ugly, and I was thinking, oh my God, does he get to limp off here once again? But we will see. We will see. Because they are going to need him over the weekend against Newcastle. We know that Newcastle are that one bogey side for this Arsenal side. They bring a physical game. They bring a very fast-paced game. We know that last season Arsenal managed to beat them, I think, by 1-0 in the reverse fixture at the Emirates Stadium, having lost the other fixture away to St James's Park by a similar score. We remember how they went at that Arsenal side. In some games they've started with a 4-3-3. Where you have Anthony Gordon as your target man, Harvey Barnes on one side, and Anthony Elanga. That's a very, very pacey front three. Then if Nick Boltmada is starting, then Harvey Barnes is sacrificed, and then Anthony Gordon starts with Anthony Elanga on the other side, and Nick Boltmada gets started as the center forward. But Newcastle have not had the brilliant start to their Premier League campaign, so that will come into factorization going into that game over the weekend. But that was a game for you. Arsenal will be happy that as a squad, they will be happy that they won the fixture, and then they march on, they not concede. But I thought they should have scored more. They should have done a lot more to score more too. You see, sometimes when you score these lots of goals, it's another confidence booster to say we are capable. You must be able to dismiss teams, especially some of these teams. So, but it is what it is. And then Tottenham Hotspurs did, like I said, beat up against Doncaster Rovers by 3-0. Joao Paulinho, one of those on target, as well as Brennan Johnson, Lucas Bagville providing the assist, while the other was a McGrath on goal. Then in the game between Newcastle against Bradford City, they beat up against Bradford City by 4-1. Shellington and William Osula had a brace in that game each. Then you had Bruno Guimaraes have a brace of assists. So very dominant performance for Newcastle United, as you would expect in a home game. So yeah, I thought that was really, really brilliant for them to go into on the night or on the day as things transpired. Then quickly, you did have oh snap. Yes. Quickly. Let's run into the Spanish La Liga because action was on yesterday. Before we go to the Spanish La Liga, yesterday, a Ugandan who does feature for Manchester City in David Mukasa had his senior debut, and he provided an assist for Phil Foden's goal that gave Manchester City the lead before Phil Foden then provided the assist for Savinho's goal. as they won by 2 goals to 0. Then in the Spanish La Liga, Getafe was forced. We shared the sports with Deportivo Alves in a 2-0 draw. Atletico de Madrid had to grind it out to beat Rayo Vallecano by 3 goals to 2. Now, in that game, Julian Alvarez scored a very, very stunning goal as he completed his hat trick on the night against Royal Mallorca. I mean, such a performance indeed deserved 3 points from the individual quality of Alvarez. So brilliant performance on the night. But Atletico de Madrid, I think, will be the happier side. Will be very, very happy, given that they sort of got a victory ahead of that Madrid derby over the weekend. Because is it over the weekend? I think so. They're set to play Real Madrid. So 6 games played, only 2-1, 3 goals, and 1 loss. So Diego Simeone needs to pull up his stockings. They are 9 points. At 9 points, which means 9 points off the top of the La Liga standings. And yeah, they'll need to improve on their performances. And if you're going to play like that or defend like that against Real Madrid, then be rest assured you will be punished. Then the other game, so Real Sociedad beat up against Royal Mallorca by 1-0. That goal scored by Mikel Oyarzabal. Mikel Oyarzabal was the goal scorer for this Real Sociedad side, who are under the charges of Sergio Francisco, there. Beautiful, beautiful. Anyways, there were also games in the UEFA Europa League yesterday. Sturm Graz were beaten by Midtjylland by 2 goals to 0. PAOK and Maccabi Tel Aviv shared the spoils in a goalless draw. Dinamo Zagreb beat up against Fenerbahce by 3 goals to 1. Crvena Zvezda shared the spoils with Celtic in a 1-1 draw, while Freiburg beat up against FC Basel by 2 goals to 1. Malamo lost to Ludogorets by 2 goals to 1, while SC Roma managed to beat up against Nice by 2 goals to 1. Remember, Roma under the charges of Gian Piero Gasperini. And then Real Betis shared the spoils with Nottingham Forest in a 2-2 draw, while Braga beat up against Feyenoord by 1-0. Meanwhile, there's action coming your way. Still in the UEFA Europa League, Go Ahead Eagles will be up against FCSP. Lille will be up against Brann. Aston Villa up against Bologna. We know now Aston Villa have a couple of problems. They've not had a great start to the new campaign. Salzburg, FC Salzburg will be up against Porto. Utrecht will be up against Lyon. French Virus will be up against Victoria Pilsen. Rangers will be up against Genk. VfB Stuttgart will take on Celta Vigo, while Young Boys do have a date with Panathinaikos. In the Spanish La Liga, tonight there are 2 games to come your way. At 8:30 p.m., Osasuna will take on Elche, while Rio Oviedo will be up against Barcelona on at 10:30 p.m. I expect a routine win for Barcelona in that one. No qualms whatsoever. So that's the update on that side in as far as the EFL Cup is concerned, in as far as what fixtures there is to come. You ought to worry for a team like Aston Villa coming into this competition. They do have a manager that knows the competition one too well, very, very capable, but like I said, they've not had a great start to their new campaign. When you look at some of their results from the Premier League, they've not been pretty. Ahead of the weekend, they have a tough fixture at home against Fulham, and I mean, they are third from bottom. They're third from bottom with only 3 points, 3 draws, 2 losses from the opening 5, and that's not a decent kind of tally of results that you really want for your team to have. You look at they kick-started the season with that goalless draw against Newcastle, went and lost out to Brentford by 1-0, got beat by Crystal Palace by 3 goals to 0, shared the spoils in a goalless draw with Everton, and then they are last outing was a 1-all draw against the 10-man Sunderland. So when you look at that team, Emi Martinez, not the happiest of players, was bound for an exit. He did not take the exit during the course of the summer, having bid farewell to Aston Villa fans at the tail end of last season. Ezri Konsa, we're talking about an England national team starter. Tyrone Mings, Lucas Digne, Cash, John McGinn, Boubacar Kamara, Gwesand, Rogers, Buendia, and Oli Watkins. Now, for me, particularly, I feel that they do miss the services of Yuri Tillemans, arguably the best player last season. So you sort of feel for them. And the sooner they get him back, the better they will be in terms of how they exploit that midfield, in terms of how they exploit that midfield. Ross Barkley has been what? I do not know what's happened. Amadou Onana, all those kinds of players should be back and help them. They should be getting back and helping them. Of course, Pau Torres inclusive. They do play well with Pau Torres. Ian Matson, then their forwards, Morgan Rogers, Daniel Malen, Jadon Sancho. I mean, they just need to pull up the socks. Anyways, thank you so much, Pedri. Thank you so much, LFC. Thank you so much, Shumail, for being part of today's podcast. Thank you so much, podcast circles. Thank you for all of you that have managed to catch today's podcast, morning broadcast. But like I said, the Premier League weekend is around the corner. In fact, we should be looking to get our previews done for the weekend, because action will come between Saturday throughout until Monday, where we do have Monday night football between Everton and West Ham United. On Super Sunday, there's a big game between Arsenal and Newcastle, as well as Aston Villa Fulham. Then Brentford will open the weekend with the home game against Manchester United. Chelsea will be at home against Brighton and Hove Albion. Crystal Palace will take on Liverpool. Crystal Palace will be at home at Selhurst Park. Liverpool will be looking to make it 6-6. Leeds United will be at home against Bournemouth. Difficult game there at Elland Road. Manchester City will be at home against Burnley. Nottingham Forest will be at home against Sunderland, while Tottenham Hotspur will welcome Wolverhampton Wanderers for the Premier League action for match day 6 that will be coming your way. Anyways, that's it for me for now. I want to wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Let's catch up later tonight or perhaps during the course of the day as we see how best to move forward. Bye-bye for now, and I'll see you guys later. See you.